The two articles I'm going to be comparing today are Lisa Gunther's The Most Dangerous Place, Pro-Life Politics and the Rhetoric of Slavery, and Tommy Shelby's Justice, Work, and the Ghetto Poor. In Gunther's article, she talks largely about slavery being used as the face of the pro-life argument, although she does not necessarily agree with that herself. She talks about Planned Parenthood being used as the source of a black genocide, and billboards being put up with the images of black babies and children in order to discourage would-be mothers from choosing abortion. Gunther also mentions in her article about the Dred Scott case, the result of which claimed that because Scott was a black man, he had no citizenship and therefore was not entitled to bring his complaints to court. That just because a child has not been born yet did not mean that they were not a person. I have two of the billboards here. This is the first one, which depicts a black child and claims that the black children are an endangered species. And the second one here depicts Dred Scott himself, and it claims that his case had concluded that he was not a person, which it didn't. It claimed that he wasn't a citizen. But Shelby's article is about the ghetto poor, which is predominantly a black community, and the reasons why members of the ghetto poor may be justified in refusing work if it was offered to them. Shelby claims that would-be workers can be justified in refusing work if the jobs offered to them were low-paying minimum wage jobs, as they would not pay enough to get the members of the ghetto poor out of the ghetto. So he claims that if people were to take such jobs, they would be accepting their low place in the society instead of protesting their position in an unjust work regime by refusing it. Other reasons Shelby gives for why it would be okay for members of the ghetto poor to refuse work is if the specific job would take too much of the worker's time or energy, leaving them with too little time or energy to engage in non-work-related activities. Both of these articles use slavery as the face of more modern-day issues. Gunther's article talks about slavery being used as the face of the pro-life politics, while Shelby's refers to it as well. Gunther, in her article, mentions slaves being in complete and total control of a slave's social life, as they would have the ability to choose which slaves would be sold, meaning they could choose to sell a slave's friends, lover, or children. Shelby, on the other hand, claims if workers were to accept some jobs fitting this criteria I mentioned earlier, such as low-paying job, time-consuming, or they require way too much labor, that the stigma of slavery would be resurrected. This would be a case such that the worker would be a slave and the slave master would be the worker's boss, as they would be in control of everything, at least to an extent of the worker's life.